Hey Salem South Lyon patrons, Sarah from the library here with another modern homesteading video for you. Today we're going to make two hot beverage mixes, a pumpkin spice latte syrup and a gingerbread latte syrup. Now I said latte a lot, but you can use these syrups in different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. These are great for yourself and your family at home. They're great food gifts to package up and give to neighbors, friends, your mailman, whoever might be on your gift list. I'm going to show you how quick and simple it is to whip together these different drink mixes, starting with pumpkin spice. So you're going to need a saucepan. For the pumpkin spice syrup, you're going to add 1 1/4 cups of water, 2/3 of a cup of pureed pumpkin, canned, roasted at home, however you want, whatever you have access to. This was a mix actually of an orange Cinderella pumpkin and a white Cinderella pumpkin. Other popular squashes and pumpkins to use for pies and other Thanksgiving and Christmas winter holiday recipes are the pie pumpkin, of course. Hubbard squash is actually really popular and has more of that pumpkin pie taste than the actual pie pumpkins, and Cinderella pumpkin are the other ones I like to use, either white or orange. Sometimes, depending on what you're making, the color makes a big difference. It goes a long way. So to our 1 1/4 cups of water and our 2/3 cup pumpkin puree, we are going to add a cup of sugar and our spice mix. All of these drink mixes that we're doing today have your typical winter warm spices: cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, all of those good ones. This one specifically has 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg,
and 1/4 teaspoon of cloves and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice.
Colors in there. We're gonna go right in the pot. So we give that a little bit of a mix to kind of incorporate our spices. So we're gonna set that aside while we move on to our gingerbread syrup. For that one, we're starting with 1 cup of water. Be right with you. So we have 1 cup of water. Careful not to jump out there. Oh, and you know what? Said we're gonna do this in real time, right? I forgot to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract to our pumpkin spice. You're also gonna put a teaspoon in your gingerbread, or a little more if you're a little heavy on the pour, like I am today, apparently. But who doesn't love a little extra vanilla? So we have 1 cup of vanilla, or 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You have 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and you're going to be adding 3 tablespoons of molasses. Now, these 3 ingredients together are all the same thing, right? Because brown sugar is simply white sugar mixed with molasses. I tried actually adding just brown sugar instead of the white sugar and the molasses and the brown sugar, and I've tried it with just white sugar and molasses, and depending on which color brown sugar, if you get the light or the dark, and if you get the robust or the regular molasses, it does make a flavor difference. But all of these recipes can be adjusted to your personal taste. That's the great thing about cooking like this versus baking, where it's more of a strict science, right? You just throw in what you like. So our warm spice mix for our gingerbread, we have a teaspoon of ground ginger, excuse me, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of cloves and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. A lot of the same flavors going in there. We're gonna mix these 2 up. I'm gonna jump on the stovetop back here, turn these on a medium, depending on how hot your oven actually runs. It will depend on your cooking time in those. You're looking for it to just get a little bit thicker, kind of like a honey consistency for your syrups. And you are going to store them in the fridge, so it's going to set even more once it cools. So just keep that in mind. But let me check on those syrups. Oh, our gingerbread wants to leap out of our pan here. Bubbles are good, and I'm glad it did not come up over the edge. Hopefully we won't bubble over. So, whew, it smells delicious. Here is our pumpkin spice. It is a little bit stickier. You can see how it kind of grabs to that spoon. Let me grab a metal spoon. That's kind of the test whenever you're canning something or doing anything that's going to be a syrup or a jelly, is the metal spoon and if it sticks to it. So that is just starting to get to like the good syrup gelling point. And again, it's going to be thicker because of the puree in it. So that is perfect. And it's going to set up even more in the fridge once it cools. But for making your latte, or for a single serving, I should say, you take 1 cup of warm milk and a couple of tablespoons of your syrup mix and blend it together, either with a hand whisk or a fork or an electric mixer, or if you have one of those fancy milk frothers, you can use that. Just to incorporate the syrup evenly into the milk and to froth your milk just a little bit. Then you're gonna pour in a cup of hot coffee. Or if you're not big on the coffee taste, not a big coffee drinker, but you like the fancy cappuccinos or lattes for the other flavors in them, you can use less. Again, it's totally customizable to your taste. Other great uses that we found for this in the past couple of weeks when I've been trying recipes is we have made pumpkin spice swirl ice cream. We've used it as an ice cream topping. We've used it in yogurt. I put it on some ricotta cheese the other day and just ate that as a snack. Anything, you could put it in maybe like a cheesecake or a brownie swirl. You could really add it to anything that you're baking or mixing up. This gingerbread is probably done. Yep. It climbed all the way up the pot here. So all those good spices and things are all stuck to the side. We will just scrape those back down. This, as I mentioned, is gonna be a little bit runnier, and now this is piping hot right off the stove, so it's gonna seem even runnier, but it'll thicken as it cools. And it's good. You wanna aim for like, pardon my like, you wanna aim for close to like a pure maple syrup consistency for this, and then once it cools it will get more of the gelling point like the pumpkin spice, but again not quite as far. For the lattes, this is going to be the same, the cup of milk, a couple tablespoons of this to your liking, mix it up, add it to your hot coffee.
Okay, just a couple more quick dry mixes for you. 2 of my favorites, or favorites of my household. First up, we have vanilla chai latte. This is my go-to winter drink. I have this almost nightly. And they're all dry ingredients. Just measure them out, throw them in a food processor or blender, blitz it a couple of times just to evenly incorporate and break up the thicker granules of, for example, the dry milk. And then you're gonna boil a pot of water and add a couple tablespoons to an 8-ounce cup of water. Delicious, love it. The next is the simple and basic hot cocoa mix that my kids and adults alike go crazy for. Again, all dry ingredients, measure them, toss them in a food processor or blender, blitz them a few times just to evenly incorporate and break up the bigger granules of the powders. Add the couple tablespoons to hot water, or for extra creamy cocoa, you can heat up some milk.